back by popular demand. You guys loved that us two guys lived the 70s and brought that to you, and you guys sent in so many additional comments, and we just had to do another show on it, man. It's too much fun.
Most definitely. You guys brought to our attention a lot of stuff we missed. And, we're going to go over this again. And trust me, we're going to miss some more, I'm sure. The 70s were just chock full of gems.
No pun intended, right?
Hey.
So, anyways, we're going to be drinking beer here on Sunday night. So it is what it is. We're actually drinking tonight Hofbrau Original from Deutschland. So thanks to Hofbrau. You guys are awesome.
Hey, thank you.
But we're going to kick it off tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about rock bands. And there was, it's fairly endless, Dwayne.
Oh, the 70s, I don't know about you, Chad. Mid-70s into the 80s, that was the pinnacle of rock and roll music for me. I don't think it's gotten any better since then. There's been some bands, but just not the staying power that Led Zeppelin, Sabbath, Van Halen. It goes on, and there's a never-ending list of these bands.
Oh, totally. And speaking of which, what's your shirt tonight?
Well, I've got, of course, 1977 flashback.
Nice.
Led Zeppelin.
U.S., baby.
Yeah. And speaking of 70s, I got something for you, Chuck.
You do? Wait.
First, let me see, what are you wearing there?
It's, I'm sporting Ace Frehley off the solo album. But still my favorite band member of KISS, so of course I love that. And Ace, if you're out there listening, you got to be on the show sometime.
He's the guitarist, you bet. But anyway,
wait, what about Phantom? Oh, there's a movie. There's another movie we missed right there, man. KISS meets the Phantom. How do we miss that?
Did we not talk about that?
No, but we're going to have to bring that back up. Let's go back to bands.
The best worst movie ever, I'm telling you right now. There's a lot of stories behind that. Bands. Okay, Sabbath. Sabbath was a big staple for me. And speaking of Sabbath and shirts, got a little something for you, Chuck.
All right, let's bring it out.
Ready for it?
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming down. All right, what do you hook me up with here tonight?
Here you go. Let me slide this across the table for you.
All right, let me check it out. What is it?
Well, take a look, show the people.
Oh, my gosh, man. Check it out. Sabbath. I love it, man.
Volume 4, little snow blind.
Gosh, come on. That's too much. Thanks, man.
I think awesome. I got the size right there. You're kind of a big feller.
I love it. It's totally cool, man. Come on. Iron Man is still classic. Who doesn't listen to Iron Man? But check this thing out, you guys. Check this thing out. This is awesome. Thanks, Dwayne.
You bet. Black Sabbath is iconic. Even my mom at 74, if you mentioned Ozzy, she knew who that was. You know what I mean? It's just, it never went away. It was good then for me, and it was good. It's good today.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's got the cross on the back, man. Little number 4 there. So that's pretty awesome.
You bet. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thanks, man. And I hooked you up too. And
Well,
hey, we missed a couple things, guys. And I think I told you we were planning on hitting that KISS concert here at the Gorge in Washington. But check it out, man. I still got you the concert shirt.
Oh, well, how'd you pull? Well, look at this. How'd you pull that off? Hey guys, check it out.
There you go, man. Alive, baby.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah, it's totally.
Hang on.
I think that might be up your alley.
Hang on, I got one more.
You do?
I do.
What is it?
You're going to love this. Again, guys, we're taking you back to 77. So hang on.
Uh-oh. What is this dude got? You like that shirt, though, huh? Oh, this
Boom.
is too much. A Love Gun lunchbox, dude. This is awesome. Dude, this is so cool. Oh my gosh, we were just talking about this. Was this artwork the best? Look at this. And it was the Love Gun, and look at all the gals, man.
Oh yeah. Hey, Love Gun. We all know what that means, right? I don't know how they got away with it.
Oh my God.
No thermos.
Where did you pick this? Dude, this is awesome. Thanks so much, dude.
You bet.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, that's totally cool.
Well, I seen you pull out the Hong Kong Fooey lunch box, and I went, all right.
Oh, man, that's too much. This is awesome. Yeah, this was a great cover on the wall, that's for sure. And the insert.
Definitely.
Really good, the album sleeve. That was totally awesome. But, so back to bands. We got a lot. Of course, Led Zeppelin. You already mentioned them. Pink Floyd. Who didn't listen to Pink Floyd? The Wall, man.
Pink Floyd. They're all, a lot of these held over from the 60s and still, there's Moody Blues.
Leonard Skinner. You just go down the list. The Clash, Queen. I mean,
Freddie Mercury. Come on. I mean, yeah. I mean, oh, Lord. I mean, where do you stop? You guys, apologize now. We're going to miss a ton of these. Send in the bands. I mean, it was the 70s, guys.
All right, how about this one? UFO Phenomenon. Do you remember those dudes?
Yes. Angel City.
Oh, man. There's
Golden Earring. Scorpions.
Oh, all of them. Boston. I mean, go down the list, man.
It doesn't
REO Speedwagon.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't all zingers, but...
No, but they
you
were
know
just
what?
Classic tunes, man.
Speaking of rock and roll, though, I mean, I know that was me and your thing, rock and roll. I mean, that was our gig. But if I'm not mistaken, there was a 180 side to that. I mean, there was a very, very popular genre. I think they called it disco.
Oh, that's true. There was a lot of great. I know.
I had the shirt, Chuck. Disco
You hate
sucks.
disco.
Disco sucks was the big thing, Disco duck. Remember that?
Yeah, I wasn't into disco, man. I just was not. Well, I mean, I like the gals dancing on the disco stage. Remember the lights? You got the bar. There was actually that kind of came back in the 90s. That popped up for a little while, man. The disco stage and all the stuff that's going on. The line dancing, I mean, it originated from disco, in my opinion.
Sure. The roller skating rinks and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a staple.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about 70s. So there was a ice skating rink I used to hit all the time in Nebraska. It was actually called Exarban, which is Nebraska spelled backwards, but we'd go out ice skating,
Awesome.
couple skate, single skate. I mean, rollerblading, you guys did up here. But
Mine was a roller skating rink, Adams roller skating rink in Tacoma, man. It was just an every weekend thing. You do the hokey pokey and try and win a free thing for a Coke, and, that's where you hooked up with the ladies and all that. Good time. I mean, that was our fun back then.
Yeah, and I played hockey back in Omaha, and we just kill it out on the ice, right? But Pink Floyd, AC/DC, I mean, just
Yeah.
Bon Scott, I mean, it would come on, and we'd just be jumping in and out of the crowds and diving in and out. It was awesome times.
I want to go back, Chuck. I still want to go back with this 2020 and everything.
And video games. What about the arcades?
Arcades. Come on.
Pac-Man, Asteroids.
And a quarter. You guys, a quarter is still 4 of those in $1, but back then a quarter was a lot. And but you know what? I had no problem giving them up. I would pump quarters in them damn machines all day. Pinball, Asteroids,
Tempest,
Defenders.
Oh, so many.
I mean,
oh my gosh!
Tank Battle.
Video games.
I mean,
remember that? Or even the rollerball football games. Remember that? Rollerball, and you just have to keep going, man. Half the machines didn't work because you just beat them to death. That was just too much, man.
Good times.
How about this one, Star Castle? Do you remember that?
Yep.
With the shields and you'd spin the thing.
Yes. Or what was it? Dragon Quest? Dragon
oh my
Slayer?
gosh. And all the young guys, if you're out there listening, man, unless you played like Star Castle and Tempest and I mean, these are classic games, but they're amazing still. I mean, like, to me, I still think they're
If
phenomenal.
they weren't, Atari and all these wouldn't be putting out these bundles still to this day with all those classics. Pac-Man, I mean, all those
Centipede.
classics. Yeah.
Millipede, remember they just get...
Space Invaders. It doesn't end. I mean, it's right up there.
All right, did you have the Mattel football game or...
Yeah, Coleco.
Yeah, and Space Invaders, you remember that one?
Yeah, I had the basketball and the football, which was pretty much the same damn game. It was just set up different, and it was just red dots that ran back. What about the watch? What about the first digital watch? Remember those with the red numbers?
Yeah, totally.
Nice gold watches, and you had to push the button.
And the calculator watches, remember those? Everybody had to have a calculator watch or something really
Texas Instruments. Hey, guys, for you younger guys out there, when we took a calculator to school, we got sent home for the day. I believe now they're required.
That was really fun.
I had a teacher that made us cut the little math thing out of our peaches so we wouldn't cheat.
Oh my gosh, those are too much. Yeah, no. And then, we missed a lot of cartoons too. And you guys wrote in with a ton. Of course, I already picked up the Scooby-Doo Scooby-Doo stapler, and I checked that out. But there was so many other ones, man. One of my favorites, Blue Falcon, Dog Wonder. Of course, who doesn't like Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Oh, I still watch it, guys. I still watch it. I still love it. It's
you
awesome.
just watched cartoons before you came over here, you said.
I did. I got up this morning, and because you guys mentioned so many that we missed, so I started looking it up a little bit, and I grabbed a jar of peanut butter, sat down this morning about 6 o'clock, and started watching the freaking cartoon. Jabberjaw.
Oh my gosh, Yogi Bear.
Yogi
Bear.
Lippy the lion. It doesn't. Dudley Do-Right.
Oh yeah, Bullwinkle.
No end of. You know what? And one thing I noticed by watching this morning, and I think we touched on this in the first episode, kind of how we got together and how we grew up, and kind of how all this started by being sleuths and whatnot. It seemed like every one of them, damn near every one of them cartoons was solving mysteries.
Right. Yeah,
all of them.
Just like all the TV shows, like Rockford Files, Beretta, all the.
They were all mystery
Exactly.
Inch High, Private Eye, all of those.
Inch High,
Private Eye. Remember that? All of those were mystery solving things. So, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to solve a mystery, right? Or you do our best to do it.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that was kind of the seed. And, and thank you guys for enjoying this. I mean, we're loving this. And we're still going to jump that shark, too. Don't worry.
But yeah, I was checking out some of the older ones too, like Space Race, and it was like a combination of all of them. You had like Space Ghost Racing, Scooby-Doo versus like Scrappy-Doo versus like all the old characters all getting together, and they would like space race on a Saturday morning. I mean,
I love it. So back when you had to get up and watch it, or you missed it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you straight up missed it if you didn't. There was no do-overs, there was no on demand.
No.
The TV made you be on demand.
It was so great, though. I mean, it just doesn't end. It just doesn't end. But it was just such great times.
The cars.
All of them.
I'm telling you, I have, and I'll try and find some for you guys. And I have them. My dad bought me a camera when I was young, and I just went around and took pictures of everything. Dogs taking a pee. It didn't matter what it was. I was taking pictures, and it was fun. But the one thing that really I enjoyed were the old Chevy vans, Ford vans, that had the little bubble window and the murals, just the airbrushed vans. I just was infatuated with those.
We definitely got to talk about cars. But before we do that, we're going to take a short break. And again, don't forget, like and subscribe, and thanks for joining us on Sunday. Welcome back, everybody. We're back on segment 2 here, and we've got some things to give away.
Yes, we do. I believe it's time to give away that t-shirt, Chuck.
Absolutely. And this week's winner is YouTube subscriber Brian Hilburn. So, Brian, thanks for joining the syndicate. Really appreciate it. And to pick up that t-shirt, all you've got to do is go out to SasquatchSyndicate.com, hit contact, or send an email to contact@SasquatchSyndicate.com. Our marketing team will get your size and get that t-shirt sent out to you.
All right. Congratulations, Brian, man. Can't wait to see you out there sporting that shirt, buddy.
Yeah, right on. All right. So we want to get back. We want to talk a little bit about consoles.
Yeah.
That killed the arcade. Remember that, Dwayne?
I do remember that. I mean, it was kind of nice to bring it home and put it on your own TV. Wasn't as simple as it is now.
No, but there was some killer ones. I mean, if you think about, we were just talking about Mattel and all the handhelds and everything else, but we brought like full arcade home.
Yeah, we did. Pong. I mean, just.
Yeah, table games had some cool stuff. I remember there was another one that came out, and my parents got it for me. It was called the RCA Studio. It was black and white. And by the time they released it, it was already dead because Atari came out. Remember that? The 2600.
Atari destroyed. There was a lot of good games on that. A lot of good games. Oh, man.
Yars, Revenge. Oh, Dig Dug.
Dig Dug. Was Pitfall one of those?
I think at one point it definitely landed on Atari. I mean, but it was a great game. Remember Jumping the Alligator Head? Hey. I don't remember what year it was.
I don't either.
I played it all the way into the 80s. I know that for sure.
I may still have one lying around somewhere. I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh. Somebody just wrote in Seawolf.
Oh, Seawolf. See?
Do you remember that? You'd sit on the bottom and the little ships would go by and you'd have to try to fire and like lead them.
And I think all these games, they were all awesome, but I think they were all based on the same format. I mean, Seawolf was pretty much what, Space Invaders.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Pong was Pong, and then they flipped it, and then it was basketball, and then they did 4 people could play, and then I think it was called hockey. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And there's some games I still play from the 70s. I mean, like Lunar Lander. I mean, how many times did you play Lunar Lander?
Loved it. You had to follow the little graph and get the rocket to...
Oh, yeah. I killed a bunch of quarters. Yeah, and you had so much gravity. Remember that? But I killed so many quarters on that.
Stunt cycle.
Oh, stunt cycle. Okay, yeah. So remember that? The tubes, and you had to drive the motorcycle and just get him just right?
That game was harder than it looks. That game's still hard, man. That's a challenge.
Yeah, you could indoor, and if you gave it too much gas, you'd flip over backwards.
Kind of an Evil Knievel based thing. I remember the red, white, and blue console, and you had to jump the buses.
But I remember, like, you know, my dad, he and my parents would take us out on Friday night. They'd just line up the rolls of quarters and send you on your way. You know, they'd drink some beer, hang out with their friends, eat some pizza. And all the kids, we just go run off into Godfathers. But when that came home, it kind of ruined all that. But it was... Yeah, it was cool to have them home on the console.
I was thinking Shakey's. I was a Shakey's guy.
Shakey's,
Shakey's
we
pizza.
Love Godfathers. I don't think there's any Godfathers here in Seattle. I know there's one over in Wenatchee, but there's not a lot of Godfathers left.
I think all that stuff's gone. Me and you are keeping it alive,
pizza, man. It's so good. But yeah, there's oh my gosh, so many. Yeah, I mean, it never ended too. Like, I mean, there was but there was a share of horrible games too. I mean, they weren't all hits.
No. By far, it was horrible. There was a lot that didn't get my quarters, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and you'd go play, and if you wiped out, like if you couldn't get extra lives or addition, you quit playing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you were out a quarter. And that was a big thing back then. Remember that?
Yeah. Now, I remember the guy that would come in, like the arcades and stuff, and he could do that little adjust, because not all the games were tuned the same either. I know you could change the skill level on those things.
Right.
So that depended on which arcade I went to.
And do you remember, like, okay, so you got really good at certain games, and so then patterns came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the arcade, the Pac-Man, you had all the patterns figured out for your quarters, but when you came home, it still had patterns, right? There were still algorithms you had to memorize, and the games you'd want to play were the ones you could just last the longest at. I mean, either way, it didn't really matter.
Mine was asteroids. I figured that one out. Clear the asteroid field, leave 2 little boulders, and just fly across the screen and just kill spaceships for as long as you could. Stack, man. I used to sell the games. I used to sell the games for $1. I had so many men.
Oh, man. There were so many good ones. I just can't. It's overwhelming.
You guys out there, remind us of the ones we're missing. There's so many. I think Indy 500 was one. I remember the steering wheel game, that cheesy little car you'd race around the tracks.
Oh, yeah. Steve Jackson just wrote it. What did he say? Oh, he's saying Coleco. Oh, you know what? Coleco was like Wii before Wii. Do you remember that? They had like the guns and the tennis racket.
Yeah.
They had all these different little console sets, but
accessories.
There was no cartridges. You had like these games that were dedicated to the controllers. And so it was all about like moving your hands or shoot out.
Yeah.
The little guns.
Yeah. Or kind of like Duck Hunt back.
Duck Hunt. Yeah, there were so many good ones, though. I mean, everybody's tried to knock that off, though. Even now, right? I mean, there's so many games like that, you know.
Well, I think that was the base platform. Again, everybody was creative back then. That's what led up to everything now. I mean, you had to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And I think the first home, it wasn't just consoles, but the first home computer came out around then. I think the Apple II, not the IIe, but the II, it was like one of the first games. It had some kind of basic games on it, but it was the first one with like a floppy disk. And
and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck, I believe that goes back to 77 again.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you nailed it, man. I think it was true.
One of our first
because the
computers.
2E didn't come out until the 80s. So, I mean, it had to be like right in that time frame. But there was, oh man, who were these guys growing up in like the 50s and stuff that had all these ideas too? Because they were probably about our age when they were launching this stuff.
Yeah. They had imagination.
I didn't go that far back, but I wonder what they had as kids. That they even had more creativity.
I think they have the stick and the hoop.
Maybe, right. Maybe that's why we're losing creativity, right? Because we got all these gadgets in our hands and walking around with a full computer in our pocket.
That's not such a false statement, Chuck.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to look back and think about it, though. Like, how did they come up with this stuff?
God bless them for doing it.
I mean, think of the other stuff, too. Like, I mean, talking about 70s. I mean, we can go on and on, man. Air Force jets and stuff. The stuff they're coming out with, like the SR-71, but it was like built in the 50s. I mean, it was designed long before its time. You know, all that kind of stuff.
The pinnacle of creativity. I mean,
there's another whole episode, man. The military of the 70s.
Oh, again, you guys.
Black Ops.
Yes, we could do this forever. I'd love to do this forever. You guys tell us what I mean, you guys obviously know more than just the two of us sitting here. I mean, send us some more stuff. I mean, this is actually awesome. I mean, I love this.
Do you remember, too, they had all the knockoffs, too, like Radio Shack. They knocked everything off, and Texas Instruments. Like, you remember when Intellivision came out?
Tandy and...
Yeah, Tandyvision. You remember that? Because my parents, they didn't buy me the Intellivision. I got the Tandyvision, which was the exact mirror copy of Intellivision. Yep. I don't know how Radio Shack pulled that off, but it could play all the cartridge games.
I think Tandy, I kind of compare it to the cars we talked about earlier. Tandy always came in a Radio Shack, a strong third.
Oh, yeah. I played Intellivision to death. I mean, Atari was cool, but the controller was kind of limiting.
Yeah.
Then you got to Intellivision, you had all those buttons and codes and swivel pad on the controllers. Those were awesome. And there was really cool games like skiing. You'd hit a tree and it'd be like... all the sound effects. And I got a buddy. I'm going to have him on the show sometime. But, man, I used to dominate him in football all the time. I can still remember the codes, man. Like 9621, you'd throw like a roll out and sprint pass. And, yeah, 9729, you throw a deep bomb and stuff. I mean, I was into that game a lot. Too much.
That was all fun. You know, a lot of the music and sounds from them games are still iconic. I see those things coming back. I'm hearing them like sampled in music and, you know, opening bits for podcasts and stuff. I hear a lot of that coming back. That old, you know, 64-bit sound, whatever. I don't know what they call it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, totally. I saw there was another pattern game we used to play all the time. It's called Burger Time. You'd have to run across these hamburgers.
I remember Burger Time.
Those up. Yeah, and television, Tandyvision. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about how you used to even hook these up to the TV. You didn't have HDMI.
No, there was no RCA jacks. There was none of that. All you had was an antenna jack. And if I'm not mistaken, oh boy, there was a box.
Do you remember that? It had 3 and 4 on it. Remember channel 3 and 4?
Channel 3 and 4, whichever you could get best on your antenna, and had a little switch. You had plugged it into your antenna jack, which means you had to undo your antenna. You had no TV.
But it had those 2 Y connectors, and you had to put them in, remember? And you had to unscrew it and screw them down tight. And if you'd leave it on like 3 and your parents were trying to watch TV, it would screw up the whole signal, throw the whole TV off.
Exactly.
And they couldn't figure it out. And you became like the tech expert. Okay, we got to get Chuck in here to figure out how the TV's working. And you had to flip it to 3 or 4 or TV mode, I think. I can't remember, but it had a switch.
Yes. And you know what? And that carries on to today. Guys, I get myself a new cell phone, and I swear they need to come with a teenager. And so it's the same today. We were the techies back then. It kind of follows through.
Yeah, there's so many great games. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on in the 70s there was a lot going on in the world too, but this took us all away. I don't remember half the issues they had in the 70s, like Vietnam. I was playing video games, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good time. It was calm times. I think Vietnam, ended like 74 was kind of like the last thing out and everything. And then we got into 77. Yeah,
but there was still like all kinds of disruption in the world, you know. There was still a lot of remorse about it and all that stuff. And that led up to a ton of movies of the 80s, which we're going to have to do some 80s stuff too, man.
I don't know about you guys. I'm excited for the 80s.
Think of all the movies in the 80s that came from events in the 70s. That's got to be a whole nother episode.
Chuck, to be perfectly honest with you, I'd give up my next 10 years to go back and spend 10 years in the 80s.
I would probably too.
It was that good. The 80s.
Yeah.
The hairstyles, good. The clothes. We'll save it for another time. The 80s were great, man. The 80s were great.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about all kinds of other things. Cars, you name it, cartoon. I mean, we've got so much to talk about tonight.
The 70s were great, guys. Stick around for that. You're going to love this. Man, we love you being on the ride with us, man.
Welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit more about cars, though. I mean, there was so many, and we hit a lot from 1977. Of course, now we're just opening up to the 70s, and there's a ton in there.
This is going to be rough. Bear with us, guys. We're just going to try and pop these off the top of our heads. There's just too many, but Starsky and Hutch, the Gran Torino, the red and white
car, man.
Huggy Bear drove the
Continental, man. Did he? Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course, Smoking the Bandit, the Trans Am, man. I mean, it was so iconic. Do you remember Jerry Reed pulls up? He's got the snowman truck with a mural on the side.
Yep.
And then he rolls down the Trans Am. I mean, I'll just never forget that episode. It was amazing, though.
And who didn't love that car? What a beautiful car. Black and had to be the black and gold one.
It's still hot. Yeah. I saw an episode of like what's the Top Gear or whatever it was before it kind of faded a little bit, but they did a remake of it, and it was smoking still. I mean, it's still got great lines.
Yeah, well, Rockford Files, he had a Pontiac too, not the fancy one like Bert.
He had the Firebird, right? Yeah,
he had the Firebird in there.
Was it brown or like a gold?
Yeah, like gold. I think it was a Valencia gold or something like that. Beautiful car.
Yeah, and then of course the Pontiac GTO. Everybody loves that car.
The GTOs, you had the AMX. It just... You know,
I had a neighbor and he had the Pinto, and even back then that wasn't really a hot car. I mean, at the time, but you remember like they had the flares in the windows, like he had the wings.
Yes,
and everybody could break into them with a
friend of mine. A friend of mine, I believe in the 70s. I'm not sure. I believe before the 80s, Pinto came out with a wagon, a 2-door wagon, and the Pinto. They were silver with like red and black stripes. They were kind of a matching set. They had the little bubble window on the back of the wagon. It was a panel. You remember those?
Yeah.
Those were, I mean, granted, they were Pintos, but they were nice.
That was one of the first hatchbacks too, right?
Yes.
If I recall. I mean, that was crazy. Yeah, I think the engine was in the back. If I recall.
No, that's where the bomb was. It was a Pinto, Chuck.
Yeah, that thing was crazy. But all of them, man. AMC Hornet. Remember that?
The Hornet had them. You know, most of these cars we're talking about, I've had at one point or another, and then a certain big auction came along, and now they're all worth millions of dollars. Boy, when I was selling them for $500.
Yeah, Barrett, man.
The Gremlin. I'm a big fan. I don't know if it ties to any TV show or not, but I'm just a big fan of the car.
Yeah, there's just so many. I mean, even the Dodge Charger on Dukes of Hazzard. Remember that thing?
Yep.
The General Lee, or whatever they called it at the time. Probably couldn't even drive that thing around now, man.
Well, yeah.
Get ran off the road, man.
Little incorrect
PC.
Now. No, things are happening. 2020's happening, so.
Yeah, but there was so many, though. I mean, the CUDA, come on.
The CUDA. You know what? And it wasn't all about American muscle cars, man. We had Magnum PI and the Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, the Ferrari. Yeah, and that kind of came around, the 308. And then he drove it in the show in the 80s. It was close, though. It was pretty close, but
yeah,
that was a smoking car. Lamborghini.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I don't know about you guys, but I know I had the poster on my wall, the Countach. Just the Lamborghini was just, I thought that was the car to have. Awesome.
Yeah, and the Mad Max, he had the Falcon. I think it was a modified version or something like that.
A very modified version, yeah, an Australian version.
Yeah, but there was, there's just so many. I mean, trucks, vans. I mean, it was endless. I mean, there was just.
Very, very, for me, Chuck, I don't know. All these cars were awesome, but I know at least in the 70s when I was younger, what really blew my mind, and I know it's really nothing, but was the dune buggy for me. Just when I seen it, I still to this day, I see a Doom buggy go by, and I'm like, how cool is that? I know it's just a Volkswagen all chopped up, but just I love the Doom buggy.
Yeah. What else? Mercury. Mercury was big back then.
Yeah. Comets.
Yep. And,
Cyclones.
I don't remember too many trucks back then. I mean, well, there was always, the Bigfoot.
Well.
At the Fords, right?
Sure.
I mean, iconically, though, Sanford and Son, remember? He had the Ford P1, Lamont. He's cruising down.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are going to correct us on some of this, but yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember too many semi-trucks were big in the 70s. There was all this,
Well, Convoy. I mean,
BJ and the Bear,
yeah,
all those.
Oh, yeah, that was all huge. Yeah, there was just so many. But, yeah, I mean, it just didn't end. And, there were so many other things we missed, too, on the last episode in the 70s. But you guys wrote in with a ton of comments just about other movies we missed. And, I mean, of course, we were trying to be very specific about 77 and trying to remember what was pretty close in there.
Yeah.
But there were so many other ones. I mean, like Jaws. Everybody wrote in like, well, how did you miss Jaws? Well, it's like 76, 78. I mean,
yeah, it was right in the middle. I mean, granted, Jaws did spill over into 77. I mean, I still wasn't swimming in the ocean.
It was still on the big screen in the 70s or 77. It was definitely carrying all the way until Jaws 2 came out. I'm pretty sure.
That movie was a monster, pun intended.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Quinn, the actor. I mean, he was just money, right?
Big time.
Yeah.
That fingers on the chalkboard scene is just iconic. I love it.
Yeah, but there were so many other ones. I mean, we were just talking to Bad News Bears. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't want to play baseball and be the Bad News Bears? No one wanted to be the all sportsy teams, right? I mean, you had to be the kind of the Dirty Dozen kind of team.
I know I played a little bit of baseball in junior high there, and I may have had Walter Matthau as my coach.
Yeah, and then somebody else wrote in when we were talking about Saturday Night Fever, and they're like, "Come on, Grease." Okay, well, look, John Travolta hit a lot of hits there, man. Welcome back, Carter.
Welcome back, Carter. I'm telling you. You know what?
Mr. Carter.
Because that's who I grew up with, so it was hard for me to watch any movie with him in it because that's what it is for me.
Yeah, who doesn't remember Horseshack in that show?
I'm sorry, but that name's going to make me giggle every time you say
Horseshack. Oh, my gosh.
I don't know if that word's even PC anymore.
I don't know. It's our show.
I'm telling you. You know what blows my mind, Chuck? And, man, we're getting old, dude. Alien was from the 70s.
I know. There's so many, though. I mean, all of that genre, it all hit, like, right in there, man. Right in that time. Like, and I laugh because you were like, we had to be creative back then. You totally had to be creative because almost all the movies are remakes now. It's not like that somebody's original.
Hey.
Very rarely. But the creativity and the stuff that we made in the, I mean, it's insane.
You're exactly right. I kind of said it earlier with music. I mean, it's just my opinion. I kind of think 70s and late 70s, early 80s was kind of for me anyway, the pinnacle of music. Creative, raw, rock and roll. And movies, all of this, kind of the same. That was just, we had to be creative. Things were fresh and new. And if it wasn't true, like bands, look what's happening now. These guys are all 75, 77, and still touring. Why are they coming back? You know what I mean? Because nothing's taking their place. That's what people still want to see it. I mean, and that's why you guys asked more about the 70s. I mean, it was that good.
Oh, no, it's totally that good. I mean, even a lot of TV shows, people wrote in and they were like, how do you miss Chips? And then I was like, okay, does everybody remember the Chips scene when Eric Estrada gets confronted and he whips out a pair of nunchucks and backs the guy off? And that all came out of like Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. And we're like, how do we miss Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris? I mean, too iconic.
Enter the Dragon. I mean,
I just watched that the other night. It's still an awesome flick.
It doesn't.
It was long before its time.
I'm telling you, it's so much good. And
if you make it out to Seattle too, we were just talking about this. Bruce Lee's buried there, Brandon. But it's just amazing. You had a cool story about that too, didn't you?
I do. I took my son on I know this is kind of wacky. I took a day off of work and we went around and checked out famous people's graves.
Why not?
Thought it was kind of cool. We went and seen Jimi Hendrix, and we did go see Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee. They got like a little bench there where you can just sit and pay respects, what may be. And I happened to be sitting there, and I was pulling up my camera just to take a picture. And as I'm getting ready to take the picture, no joke, a crow lands on Brandon's grave. And I'm like, this is just too weird.
It is weird how the universe plays with you like that sometimes.
Wow. I mean, the crow. Woo. I mean, it was like, all right. I'm like, son, it's time to go.
Yeah, I gotta definitely get up there. I've never even done that, but I would definitely pay homage to Bruce, man. It's fantastic, man.
I mean, it's nice to sit there. I mean, you're right. The man's right there. He's 6 feet away from you. I mean, that's,
It's true. But man, he was just amazing as an athlete. Oh my gosh, the Bruce Lee movies are just, it's just, like you said, the list is endless. All that.
The 70s were awesome.
Nunchucks, throwing stars. I mean, you name it, we had it. And it was cool. And it was cool to be all these people.
Another good thing about the 70s, you could just walk into any store and buy that stuff. There was no age limit. I don't know how many throwing stars and nunchucks. You could just go buy that stuff.
You could just go in and buy it. I remember my dad bought me, he first got me some pines with some rope. But I went out and I got some octagon, but they were made of oak. And they had like swivels on the top with stainless. And I whipped those things around. I about killed myself.
Oh, man. I used to go to the swap meet, man. Everything was there. You could buy all that stuff. Good times.
Yeah. De Niro, he was big. Godfather. Pacino, right? All these guys were getting started, right? I mean, they were just killing it. Marlon Brando.
Taxi Driver.
Oh, Taxi Driver.
Did we mention?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Yeah, you talking to me? I'm talking to you, huh? Did we mention drive-in theaters? Have we brought that up? I mean, you can't mention all these movies without I miss drive-in theaters so bad. I know they're making a little bit of a comeback, but
I got to be honest, I didn't watch too many movies. I wasn't there for the drive-in. It was date night for me, but it was all good. But there was a lot of fun, man. The drive-ins were awesome.
I love the drive-ins, man. I miss them. I wish they were still around.
Do you remember Grease when John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John are in the car and he does the yawn? He tries to put his arm around her.
Yep.
She turns racks him. And he's like, oh. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, God. Yeah, there's just so many. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Anyways, you guys, there's so much in the 70s. We're not done with the 70s. I can already tell you guys we're not done because of all your comments and all the emails we got. I mean, there's just so much. We appreciate you guys sending this stuff in because it's a lot of fun to talk about.
Thank you. I mean, it takes us back again, Chuck. I want to go back. You guys, I want to go back. You guys go, you know what? Go out there and look up some of these movies. Look up some of these cars. Look up some of these cartoons. They still hold up. I mean, some of this stuff ain't so PC anymore, but they're classics, man. It's still good stuff.
Yeah. And then, of course, we got to come back and talk about cereal at some point.
Candy.
Because who didn't watch, who didn't watch cartoons on Saturday and Sunday mornings without some of the best cereal of all time, which still is around, by the way, in most cases.
Yeah.
But there was some classic cereals. We want to hear what you guys were.
Definitely. Yeah. I know I got my favorites.
Oh, I totally do. Count Chocula.
Breakfast sugar. Who didn't love it?
And you got the toy, right? Remember the insert toy in the cereal.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, we can't. We'll run over if we do this. They're going to cut us off. But anyways, we want to hear what you guys think. We're definitely going to hit this up again. I don't know. We should do a few more Sasquatch episodes. We're going to have to come back to the 70s because it's too much.
Yeah, believe me, there was also a Bigfoot thing happening during this time too.
But we love it, man. We absolutely love it. Speaking of which, we got some beers, and we still got to do some more beers. But check out these cans; these are awesome. They're from the Olympia Beer Company. Some throwbacks. What do you got over there? You got the original.
Yeah, I got the
Explore Your Wild Side, or what was it? I can't remember.
Find Your Wild Side.
Find Your Wild Side. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, there's so many here.
And I believe you did get the poster that you mentioned framed.
I did. I'll have to take a picture and put that out on VIP. It's awesome. But I mean, look at these cans. I mean, these are just killer. And anyways, anybody from the Olympia Beer Company out there watching too, you definitely got to hit us up. We got a lot of things to talk to the Olympia Beer Company about.
That's for sure. Somebody, some kind of rep's got to talk to us.
Yeah, we've got some things to talk about. So anyways, we hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. We've had a lot of fun talking about the 70s, and it's because of you guys. And so peace and love. Thanks again for listening to Sasquatch Syndicate. And we'll be back next week. We're going to talk a little bit more about Sasquatch.
Thank you guys very much. Remember, believe.